Hi guys, it's me, Princess Mia. I am back with another video. This is part 2 of 101 Dalmatians. I am sorry about the mistake I made. This is chapter 6, but it actually only goes out to chapter 10. So that was a little accidental thing, but that's okay. And we're going to keep going with it today, guys. Alright, let's get into it. Chapter 6. That night, while Perdita slept, I watched at the window waiting for a response to the twilight bark I had just about given up when I heard the Great Dane howl from far across London. Someone had found the puppies. I woke Perdita and we slipped out of the bedroom window. We met the Great Dane of Primrose Hill, and he escorted us across the river at Camden. He gave us directions. When you reach Wither Marsh, contact old Towser, he said. He'll direct you to the colonel who will take you to your puppies at the Deville place. Deville? Perdita and I both exclaimed. Perdita looked at me. Oh, Pongo, it was her, she said. I hope we're not too late. After thanking the Great Dane, we headed around the fields. Wither Marsh was miles away, and it would take us a long time to get there. On top of that, snow was beginning to fall. There was no question that it would slow down our progress. While the Colonel and Sergeant Tibbs were waiting for us at the barn, they noticed a car drive up to Hell Hall. The Colonel became quite flustered. Tibbs, better see what's up, he cried. On the double, man, on the double. Leaving Captain in charge, the Colonel and Sergeant Tibbs hurried toward Hell Hall. Once Sergeant Tibbs was inside, he raced to the hole in the wall. He peered inside and saw Cruella pacing the room and ranting at Horace and Jasper. I've got no time to argue, she insisted. It's got to be done tonight. Do you understand? Tonight. But they aren't big enough, Horace whined. Yeah, agreed Jasper. You couldn't get a dozen coats out of the whole caboodle. Sergeant Tibbs blinked in amazement. Cruella was planning to make dogskin coats. We'll have to sell for half a dozen, she was shouting. We can't wait. The police are everywhere. I want the job done tonight. How are we going to do it? Any way you like. Poison them, drown them, bash their heads in. I don't care, as long as you kill the little beasts. But do it, and do it now! Behind her, the puppies trembled in fear. Jasper didn't give them a glance. He was more interested in the television. Please, miss, he begged Cruella. Have pity, will you? Can't we see the rest of our show first? Enraged, Cruella grabbed a bottle and threw it into the fireplace as it shattered against the bricks. The puppies scrambled to hide behind the furniture and boxes. Shuddering, Sergeant Tibbs watched from his place at the wall. Now listen, you idiots, Cruella ordered the Battens. I'll be back in the morning, and if the job isn't done by then, I'll call the police, and you wouldn't want to go back to jail, would you? Would you? Cruella slammed the door behind her, and the entire mansion shook. Plaster fell from the ceiling, raining down on Sergeant Tibbs as he scampered into the room. He hurried over to the puppies. Psst, hey kids, you better get out of here if you want to save your skins. But how? Asked one of the pups. Shh, cautioned Sergeant Tibbs. There's a hole in the wall by the door. Come on and follow me. As Jasper and Horace stared at the television set, Sergeant Tibbs led the puppies toward the hole. The little ones tumbled all over another as Tibbs tried to make them in a straight line. One at a time, he whispered. Climb through one at a time. As the show wound to a close, Sergeant Tibbs tried to hurry the remaining puppies. Come on, snap it up, he urged. Faster, faster. Rolly was the last one in line. Just as Tibbs was about to push him through, the cat glanced at the television set. There was Lucky staring at the screen. Sergeant Tibbs crawled past the feet of Horace and Jasper. Hey kid, the cat whispered. Let's go. The television was so loud that Lucky didn't hear him. Sergeant Tibbs reached out and grabbed the puppy, but Horace beat him to it. Get out of the way, you little runt, snarled Horace, shoving the puppy aside. Sergeant Tibbs snatched Lucky up and carried him away. When they reached the hole in the wall, Rolly was still waiting. He let Lucky climb through first, but when Rolly took his turn, the ever-hungry puppy got stuck. As Sergeant Tibbs struggled to push Rolly into the hall, he heard Jasper shout, Horace, look! They're gone! Using all his strength, Sergeant Tibbs shoved Rolly through the hole. He ordered all the puppies to hurry down the stairs behind him. Jasper was calling, Here, puppies! Don't go hiding from your old Uncle Jasper. I'm not going to hurt you. Come out wherever you are. Sergeant Tibbs hid the puppies under the staircase. Here they come, he whispered. Don't breathe a word. Jasper stomped down the steps, shining a flashlight around the dark mansion. Double-crossed little twerps, he muttered to Horace. pulling a trick on us after we took care of them all. They're grateful for you. There's gratitude for you. It ain't fair, Jasper, agreed Horace. As the Battens were talking, Rolly poked his head out of hiding. Sergeant Tibbs grabbed Rolly to pull him back, and the puppy squealed. Jasper shone the flashlight in their direction. Hey, Horace, Jasper cried. Found him. The chase was on. Sergeant Tibbs led the puppies down a hall, past a window where the colonel was looking in. Remembering his duty, Tibbs cried, Sorry, sir, can't stop now. No time to explain. Busy, sir. Sergeant Tibbs and his charges rushed into a large room. The Battens burst in, slamming the door behind them. Sergeant Tibbs and the puppies were trapped. Now we're at Chapter 7. After traveling for hours across icy fields and wading through cold, rushing rivers, Perdita and I discovered that we were lost. We were approaching a run-down mansion, hoping to find someone who could help. It was then that I heard the barking. We bounded through the snow toward the sound when I saw an old English sheepdog buried up to his whiskers. I cried, Colonel, are you the colonel? Pongo, you must be Pongo, the sheepdog exclaimed. Perdita didn't take time to introduce herself. Our puppies, she blurted. Are they all right? I'm afraid they're in trouble. Big hullabaloo at the house. Come along quickly. We followed the colonel to a window. When I looked in, I saw the puppies first, then Jasper looming over them with a fireplace poker in his hand. Sergeant Tibbs was trying his best to protect them. Perdita, look, I cried. A moment later, we crashed through the window. Shattering the glass, we advanced towards Jasper and Horace, growling fiercely. What have we here? Sneered Jasper. A pair of spotted hyenas. He backed up, pretending not to be afraid. Then he shoved his brother in our direction. Come on, old pal, get him. Horace waved a chair leg at Perdita, so I lunged at him, grabbing the stick in my mouth. Horace grabbed it away from me when his arm jerked backward. He hit Jasper on the head, and his brother slumped in pain. Then Jasper went after Horace, kicking him in the seat of the pants. Throughout the fight, the puppies barked wildly. It wasn't over. Perdita tore at Jasper's pant leg, and he grabbed a chair to defend himself. Before Jasper brought it down on Perdita's head, I lunged at him. The chair flew out of his hand, and Jasper kicked me, and I went sailing backwards, slamming into the door. I had barely recovered when Jasper rushed at me with the poker. I slipped between his legs and escaped. During the battle, Sergeant Tibbs had begun leading the puppies towards safety. The colonel stood at the sidelines calling, Retreat! Retreat! In the meantime, Purdy had managed to pull a coat over Horace's head, confusing him. Jasper! Jasper! Horace cried. Get me out of here! He tumbled and fell into the fireplace, landing in the flames. When Horace jumped up, he accidentally knocked Jasper into the wall. More plaster came crashing down, this time on top of the Battens. Come on, Purdy, I shouted. Let's go. We raced out of the house after the puppies. Once we had arrived safely at the barn, the puppies began leaping up on us and shouting, Dad, Mother, Dad! We sure missed you, Mother. Here we are, Dad. Purdy tried to hug each puppy. Oh, my darlings, she murmured. Oh, my darlings. Rolly jumped on my back. Did you bring me anything to eat, Dad? He asked. I laughed. Is everybody here? I questioned them. All 15? Patch gazed up at me. We have twice that many now. He said, There's 99 of us. What? I exclaimed. But where did the others come from? Purdy and I surveyed the mob of squirming puppies. What on earth would that devil woman want with so many? Asked Perdita. One of the pet store puppies answered. She was going to make coats out of us. No, she wouldn't, exclaimed Perdita. Sergeant Tibbs nodded. That's right, dogskin coats. Dogskin coats? Asked the colonel, frowning. Come now, Tibbs, that's not possible. But it's true, sir, insisted the cat. Patch chimed in, jumping up and down excitedly. Horace and Jasper were going to pop us off and skin us. She's a devil, Purdy repeated. She's a witch. What will we do? There's only one answer. We have to go back to London somehow, I said. Patch looked at his new friends and said, What about the others? What will they do? We'll take them home with us. I decided instantly. All of them. Our pets would never turn them out and down. Just then, Captain addressed the colonel. Lights on the road, sir. It's a truck heading this way. Sergeant Tibbs stood at attention. It's Horace and Jasper. They followed our tracks. We've got them outnumbered, Tibbs, said the colonel. When I give them the signal, we'll attack. Sergeant Tibbs saluted respectfully and replied, Colonel, sir, I'm afraid that would be disastrous, sir. He's right, Colonel, I said. We'd better run for it. Sergeant Tibbs suggested that we take the back way across the pasture. Thank you all, I said sincerely. How can we ever repay you? The colonel cleared his throat and happy and embarrassed. Not at all in the line of duty. That's right, sir, Sergeant Tibbs said. Routine. We heard the truck pull in at the gate. Purdy led the puppies outside, urging them to hurry. Good luck to all of you, cried Captain. Good luck, added the colonel, and never fear, we'll hold them off to the bitter end. The colonel was true to his word. As Purdy ushered the puppies out of the barn, the colonel and his men confronted Horace and Jasper, and they fought them off until Purdy and I could get all the 99 puppies to safety. However, with the snow, it was impossible to cover our tracks. I knew it would only be a matter of time before the bad ones found us. Now we're chapter 8. Perdita and I hurried through the snow with the puppies, trying to make sure that no one got lost. The puppies were too tired to complain, so they followed obediently. Occasionally one would slip and fall, and either Purdy or I would come to rescue, nudging the puppy onto its feet. As we crossed a road, I heard a truck rattle behind us. With Purdy's help, I herded the puppies under a bridge, and we huddled together, holding our breaths. The truck stopped above us. A flashlight shone through the trees. I heard Jasper say, "They've got to be around here somewhere." "Jasper, I've been thinking," announced Horace. "Now, Horace, didn't I warn you about thinking?" Ignoring Jasper's comment, Horace beamed the flashlight across the ice and said, "What if the dogs went down the frozen creek? So if they wouldn't leave any tracks." Jasper stared at his brother. "You idiot," he shouted, grabbing Horace's arm. "Dogs ain't that smart." As soon as they drove off, we headed down the frozen stream. We did our best to move quickly without falling. Patch cried, "We gave him the slip, didn't we, Dad?" "They didn't even see us, Patch," declared Penny before I could answer. "Shh, children, shh," Purdy reminded them. The puppies had a hard time trying to stay on all fours. They kept sliding and slipping until one had the idea of grabbing onto Perdita's tail and letting her drag him along. The other puppies gripped one another's tails to form a line, but a few at the back slid into one another. "My feet are slippery," said Patch. "I wish we could walk on the snow," added Lucky. "No, son," I told him. "We can't leave tracks." By the next morning, the puppies became tired of trudging through the wet and cold. I had to keep counting them for fear that one would give up and refuse to travel any farther. As our group climbed a hill, Lucky did just that. He plopped down and let the falling snow settle on his coat. "Come on, Lucky," I urged him. "We can't give up now." "I'm tired and hungry and my tail is frozen," whimpered Lucky, "and my nose is froze. And my ears are frozen, my toes are froze." As I picked him up, wondering how I would carry more than one tired puppy, a collie came running toward us. He was the first dog we had seen since leaving the barn. "Pongo," he cried, "we'd almost given up hope. We have shelter for you at the dairy farm across the road." I left Lucky with the collie and ran to the front of the line. "Purdy, Purdy," I cried, "this way!" With the wind blowing their ears back, the puppies turned and headed for the dairy farm. They filed inside, shivering and exhausted. Inside the dairy were 3 cows. As the puppies settled into the straw, the one named Queenie said, "We were so worried about you. How did you make it all this way, and in such dreadful weather?" Before I could answer, Rowley crawled over to Perdita. "I'm hungry, Mother, I'm hungry." The other pups took up the cry. Purdy gazed down at them sadly. "I'm sorry, children," she sighed. As Purdy and I urged the puppies to get some sleep, the cows whispered among themselves. Then Queenie asked, "Do they like milk? Warm milk, it's fresh." Rowley sat up. Where is it? Where is it?" Queenie grinned. "Come and get it, kids. It's on the house." The puppies gathered around the cows and drank as much milk as their little stomachs could handle. As Purdy and I thanked the cows for their generosity, the collie returned with some meat scraps for us. "It's not much, but it might hold you as far as Dinsford. There's a Labrador retriever whose pet is a grocer." Purdy and I looked at each other. Dinsford seemed far away, and London even farther. Yet we had to keep going if we were going to be reunited with our pets. "Get some rest," the collie continued, "and try not to worry. I'll stand watch." The next morning we continued our journey across the countryside. As we crossed a muddy road, I heard a car honking. "Hurry, kids, hurry!" I cried, guiding them into the woods. I grabbed a tree branch and swept the snow behind us, trying to erase our tracks. I raced after Purdy and the puppies just as the car screeched to a halt. Peering around a tree, I saw Cruella back up and examine the snow beside the road. She pounded on the horn until Jasper and Horace drove up in their trucks. After a brief conversation, they headed in a different direction. I prayed that we would reach Dinsford before they did. As soon as we made it to town, the Labrador met us. "Pongo," he cried, "I got a ride home for you. Follow me." The Labrador guided us into an old blacksmith shop. After Purdy and I told the puppies to remain quiet, the Labrador led us to a window and pointed to a truck parked down the street. "That furniture van is going to London as soon as the engine repaired," he said. "There will be room for all of you." "Pongo," interrupted Perdita, "there's Cruella." Her roadster paused by the van, then slowly headed towards us. We ducked down as Cruella drove by. After she had passed the shop, I peeked through the window and saw Jasper and Horace. They were hurrying down the street on foot, searching for us. "Pongo," whispered Perdita, "how will we get to the van?" "I don't know, Purdy," I answered, "but somehow we've got to find a way." I looked at the puppies, and I wondered how in the world we would ever escape. Chapter 9, guys, we're almost there. As Perdita and I tried to form a plan, two of the puppies began arguing. Lucky ran over to us, half covered in soot. "Dad, Patch pushed me into the fireplace," he complained. As I was about to scold them, I was stopped by the sight of Lucky's blackened coat. "Purdy, I have an idea," I cried. Then I jumped into the fireplace and rolled in the soot, doing all I could to disguise my spotted coat. "Look, I'm a Labrador," I called to Perdita. After I stood up, the puppy stared at me startled. "We'll all roll in the soot," I cried. "We'll all be Labradors. Cruella will never recognize us." I turned to the puppies and said, "Come on, kids, roll in the soot." "You mean you want us to get dirty?" Penny asked. "Mother, should we?" wondered Patch. "Do as your father says," Perdita answered, nodding. "This will be fun," cried one of the store-bought puppies. "I always wanted to get good and dirty." The puppies giggled as they rolled over and over in the soot. "That's right," I cried. "The dirtier is the better." The Dinsford Labrador gathered the puppies in near a hole in the wall, told them to wait. When he peeked out, he saw Horace and Jasper entering a shop across the street. He waited until they were inside and then led the first group of puppies to the van. As the Labrador was loading them into the back, I told Perdita, "So far so good. Come on, Purdy, better put on your makeup." As I left, I heard Cruella's car rattling down the street. Then I saw Jasper and Horace approach the shed window. They would have seen Perdita if Cruella hadn't distracted them, shrieking, "Jasper! Horace! Where are those puppies?" "Be reasonable, miss. We've been frozen clean to our bones. We haven't had a bite to eat all day." Cruella banged her fist on the side of her car. "They're somewhere in this village," she screamed. "And we're going to find them. Now get going." I quickly helped the Labrador load a bunch of the puppies into the van, then ran back for Perdita. I heard the driver warming up the engine. "Hurry, Purdy," I called. "The van's about to leave." Purdy rushed out of the shed with another batch of puppies, and their coats shone black against the snow. I gathered another group and headed toward the van. As we were scampering across the street, Cruella returned. Purdy ran back for another bunch of puppies. As she passed me, I told her to get the rest. By this time, Horace and Jasper decided to search the blacksmith shop. When they failed to find an entrance along the street, they hurried around to the back. It was my only chance to get the last group out safely. "Hurry, kids," I cried, knowing that the Battens would enter at any second. I nudged the last bunch of puppies into the snow. Cruella's car sputtered in our direction. She stopped in front of us and leaned out the window, staring intently at the black puppies. Lucky leaned against my leg, shivering at the sight of her. She's catching us, Dad," he whimpered. Keep going," I muttered under my breath. As the last few puppies made it out of the shop, drops of melting snow fell from the eaves. Horrified, I watched their white spots appear on the puppies' coats, where the water washed off the soot. I pushed the puppies along, well aware that Cruella was spying on us. She grinned when a large clump of snow fell on Lucky, burying him as I hastily pulled him out with my teeth. I saw that he had been washed clean of soot. Every spot stood out against his white coat. "Horace, Jasper!" Cruella yelled. "They're trying to escape in the van! After them!" As I grabbed Lucky and ran to the van, the Battens hurried around the shop. I slipped once, but managed to get up and leap on the back of the van as it sped away. After tossing Lucky to Perdita, I clung to the tailgate with my toenails behind me. I could hear the Labrador barking as he scuffled with the Battens. Finally, I was able to pull myself up into the back of the van, and I was happy to see the puppies settling themselves in boxes and drawers as the van rumbled away down the road. "Pongo," cried Purdy, pointing. "There's Cruella." The roadster zoomed towards us, and Cruella steered alongside the van, trying to force it off the road. The driver tried desperately to avoid being forced off the cliff. "Hey, Lady Shadow, what in the thunder are you trying to do?" Again, Cruella tried to pass the van. It veered the side, bouncing puppies out of the drawer. The driver was trying mightily to keep the truck upright, and he succeeded. As Cruella drove alongside the van, trying to bash it into the side, a one-lane bridge loomed before us, and the van made it onto the bridge, but Cruella crashed through the barricade. She bounced into the gully and became stuck in a snowbank. The van made it across the bridge and continued on the road. "Pongo, look!" cried Perdita, pointing up a hill. The van's truck barreled towards us. The next moment, Cruella appeared behind us in her roadster, which she had managed to free from the snow with a wild look in her eyes. She rammed her car into the back of the van, shoving it forward. Perdita and I flew against the side as Cruella yanked her steering wheel toward the left, trying to stop both vehicles. Looking around the side of the van, I saw Jasper's truck roaring down on us, spinning out of control. I watched it collide with Cruella's car. Both vehicles were knocked away from the van. The truck and the roadster flew into the air. When they came to earth, they shattered into pieces, the debris littering the snowdrifts. I looked out of the back of the van to see Cruella emerge from the wreckage, waving her fist at the bands. I was delighted to see that the fur coat she was wearing had been torn to shreds, and to know that she would not have another one for a long time, as long as justice was done and Cruella was put in jail. And now we're at chapter 10. This is the last page. When the van finally made it to London, we were a tired and dirty lot. Our 15 puppies hopped out of the van, happy to see the Ratcliffe home. Now again, the other 84 pups seemed shy at first, but then they gathered up their courage and followed me and Perdita to the house. I peered into the window before announcing our arrival. It seemed as though Anita was trying to cheer up Roger, who was slumped in a chair as he examined the photo that Cruella de Vil had admired long ago. Nanny entered the room, wiping away tears. Oh, I'm sorry, there actually is more pages. I couldn't let Nanny think the worst for another moment. I began barking softly at first, but soon as loud as my lungs would allow. The door was flung open and I bounded in, heading straight for Roger. His mouth opened in surprise as I jumped on him and knocked him over. As I hurried to greet Nanny, Perdita leaped into the room, followed by the puppies. Anita cried, "What on earth? Why, they're Labradors!" exclaimed Roger. I had forgotten that our coats were still black. Nanny looked at the paw prints I had made on her white apron. "No, they're covered in soot," she shouted joyfully. "Look, there's Lucky. He's the only one with his spots." Roger pulled out his handkerchief and wiped my face. "Oh, Pongo, is that you?" he asked, grinning. "It's Pongo." Anita cleaned Perdita's face with her apron and said, "It's Purdy, my darling." Nanny grabbed a broom and began sweeping soot off the puppies. "It's Patch and Rolly and Penny, and they're all here." The little dears. Nanny gazed around the room, puzzled at first. "And look, there's a whole lot more. There are puppies everywhere," cried Roger, noticing that every rug, every chair, every step of the stairs was covered with puppies. They began counting, and can you imagine their surprise when they came up with a total of 99, adding me and Perdita, that made 101 Dalmatians. "Where did they all come from?" asked Anita. Roger scratched me under the neck. "Pongo, you old rascal." At the thought of so many puppies, Anita almost fainted. "What will we do with them?" she asked Roger. "We'll keep them," Roger proclaimed. "We'll buy a big place in the country, and we'll have a plantation. A Dalmatian plantation." Roger hurried to the piano and began improvising a song. While we had been searching for the puppies, he had written a song about Cruella that was to become his first hit. As he pounded out the chords to his new tune, all the puppies began barking. Perdita and I joined in, and soon the house was ringing with the voices of 101 Dalmatians. That is the end of 101 Dalmatians. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I cannot wait for the next book that you guys have voted on, because it's going to be great. And thank you guys for watching this video. And goodbye.